Good evening and welcome to tonight's show. I'm your host, Tina Dawson, the owner of True Blue Designs, and it is truly an honor to be before you this evening. Thank you so much for tuning in to the last live show of 2020. We have had a lot of people, a lot of guests come on the show to share their inside perspective. Also, at the end of this year, probably around September or so, we created a new Facebook page. So True Blue Designs presents the inside perspective, has its own Facebook page. But if you want to see the volume library of all of the interviews that we have done since the beginning, which was 2019, you can find them on our YouTube page at True Blue Designs Presents the Inside Perspective. I want to also wish all of you a very happy holidays and a happy new year. We will resume back on January the 11th. We already have that interview lined up and we will load it at the beginning of the year. But thank you. The success of our show is because of you, the viewers. Please like and share and let everyone know that we are on the air. Again, we're streaming live on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel at True Blue Designs. Now, tonight's guest is the founder of Pollynation Apothecary, a company focused on solving wellness challenges for those with sensitive skin, hair, and systems holistically. She has transformed countless lives through her products by helping her customers bloom into wellness. Like and share and let everybody know that Miss Carli Abram is on the air. Help me give a warm welcome to tonight's guest, Miss Carli Abram.
Hi,
Tina.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for saying yes. I am so excited. I know so many people who need to hear this interview. So if they're either tuned in, if they're not, I'm gonna share it like crazy when we finish.
All right.
Thank you so much for saying yes. We're gonna start off. Well, first of all, happy holidays to you and your family.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. And we're gonna let you start the interview off by just telling the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Yes. So, wow. So my background is in the sciences, right? I have my bachelor's of science in chemical engineering, and then I also have my MBA. And so I've loved over the years putting together innovation, strategy, business building, building brands, building products, introducing them, really connecting and translating what the consumer needs, and understanding their problems and translating that to, new opportunities. And so it's been such a pleasure to be able to do this for Pollination Apothecary, right? I always thought of I would have a business when I retired from my corporate life. And so starting a business happened sooner than later, right? And so it's like you just never know, right? And it has been great to come on this ride and see where God was taking me on this path. So it's been a pleasure.
So you're located in Charlotte, North Carolina, correct?
Yes.
Okay, in Charlotte. All right. So let's discuss your journey to creating your company.
Yes.
How did it all come about?
You know what? I had a death in the family, and then I was saying to myself, well, hey, I'm living in this one state, and I know this is not my forever state, right? The state I was living in. I love certain things about the state and also the company I was working with, but I felt like it was time for more and something different. And while I was living in this state called Florida, I would have friends coming down and family coming down to visit because here I am right at the ocean, right? And I would make products, and I have been making products for myself just because of my own health challenges and situations I had been through, from hair loss, right, to figuring out and learning, what does it mean to have this sensitive gut and some of those challenges and diagnoses that come with that. And I've been on my own journey. And so I was just making certain products that it had helped me to grow my hair back when I experienced hair loss from just a dye in the box and just whipping up stuff. Okay. And I didn't think anything of it. I was doing this even when I lived in Philadelphia. And so when I moved to Florida, I would whip up stuff. And then I also, when I would talk to friends or family, if they were going through something like my aunt who was experiencing hair loss, and, but it would be just random conversations. It wouldn't be, and I would just think, oh no, we're not going to have you going through that trauma. I'm going to create something. I wouldn't even tell the person. And then I would just whip up something and send it to them. And it was working so well that people, once they got it in their hands, so they would just discover it from coming to visit me and partake in the ocean. They're like, what is this? Wait a minute. Wait, my hair's never looked this good. Wait a minute. We would go out into town and everybody would be stopping, men and women. Wow, your hair looks so good. Your hair looks so good. And to my friends who would be visiting, and I'd be like, wait a minute. What? Or their hair was growing back, their toddler's hair was growing back with certain family members and things. And so I was like, wow, I'm onto something. And I was like, all over these years, ever since I've been in my 20s, I always would say, God, what is this business going to be? Is it going to be owning a tea shop, a bakery, or this or that? What would it be? And I never could determine what it would be. But
Right.
it was always in my face, right? I just didn't see it. And
Wow.
so that's when the light went off, right? I'm speaking of Florida because that's when a light bulb went off that, oh, I think this is this business that you'll retire and build and create.
Right.
And so I ended up moving to North Carolina and starting the business.
Wow. And isn't it truly how a lot of small businesses come? Is from a need, right? You find
Yes,
the need
yes,
and the vision will come, everything comes from that, but you have to first find the need. And it started with your own journey.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
My
And I
own
know
health
it made
challenges.
yeah, and I know it made you feel proud that you were able to help out your family members.
Yes, absolutely. So many of the products have the story of helping someone in
Mm-hmm.
my family or friend or myself
Mm-hmm.
um, with a challenge. And so I always start with a problem or a challenge to solve, right? So that the person can live their best life or try to live their best life, right? And their health in good health or in better health, right? Some improvement. Um, and so that they know they have options, right?
Right. Besides medicine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let me be clear with you, Tina. I don't have a problem with Western medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
It has its place,
Right.
and people should take it who needs it, right? If
Mm-hmm.
and it's just that for pollination, I'm introducing alternatives so that they can see all their different options, right? And then they can choose, what option do I want to go down? What
Right.
path do I want to go down? So it's not
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you may combine, right? You
Yes.
may use
Mm-hmm.
pollination with a Western medicine approach, right?
Right.
And combine it. It just depends on what's happening, what's going on. But that's the person's decision.
Right. Mm-hmm. And you're just providing them providing them another option.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, where did you go to school at? Where did you get your degree from?
Yep. So I got my bachelor's of chemical engineering from Michigan Technological University. So we like to say the mitten in Michigan, and it's up here, right?
Okay.
So a lot of snow, a lot of cold weather,
Right.
but a great, great school in engineering.
And tell the viewers, we were talking about this before we went live on the show, but tell the viewers how um, it's amazing how your education was almost like the foundation or key to you and the things that you learned being a chemical engineer, how that was so important to your journey to pollination.
Hmm. Absolutely. I, absolutely. I feel like when with the engineering background I have, what's most helped is the problem solving abilities,
Mhm.
right? The way you think about, problems and how you go about solving them.
Right.
I think that's been the biggest help. So, because then that translates to every industry,
Mhm.
any job. Um, and so that has really helped me to be successful, in addition to, studying the different sciences
Right.
and that sort of thing. But most importantly is those, how do you go about solving problems, right?
Right. And I think that really helps when you get a new client in and they tell you, because every client is different, and then they tell you about their situation. That problem solving skill, helps you with that too, with each individual customers, right?
It definitely does, right?
Mhm.
Because sometimes I'm helping to coax out that information to understand, well, what happened? What's the root of this?
Mhm.
Because now we can create something that tackles that versus, symptom, or because a lot of times the person may not, they haven't even thought through, well, what was the cause, what was the root, when
Mhm.
did this start? And there's certain questions and different things I'll do, and then about time we get off the phone, it's like, okay, so this started then, boom, 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 and they're like, oh, wait a minute, I never thought about this.
Right.
And then they have so much clarity too, right? And
Yes.
so then they have much more their own personal power restored, right?
Yes.
So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. When I was going through your information, one thing that just kept just coming to the forefront was that you help your customers bloom into wellness. Let's talk a little bit about that because I love that. Where did
Yeah.
that originate from? And let's talk a little bit about that, why that's so important, because it's all over
Mm,
your website.
yes. Well, you know what? As I was starting pollination, and I was, I'm Christian, I'm spiritual. And so I was praying over, well, what is the vision? What is the mission? And and I kept, you go through your iterations of what you
Mhm.
thinking, and you throwing things out. And I kind of, so I'm brainstorming, right?
Right.
And that's what I would do in corporate as well. I'm brainstorming, and I'm like, oh yeah, I think I have it. And then I pray, and I'm like, you know what? I don't really have it. I mean, can I say it and quickly to somebody what this is? What's this mission? What's this vision? Can I even remember it from day to day? And so then I had started having my acid test of, you know, how serious was I of this business? Can I remember this? And et cetera, et cetera. Do I really believe this? And then I came to, really having the mission to breathe life into society, the vision, well, actually the vision to, breathe life into society, and the mission to help those bloom into wellness so they can look and feel their best.
Right.
And blooming, right? And that's also the genesis of pollination, right?
Mhm.
So pollination is, poly nation, female nation, because I'm helping women to bloom, but their whole families too, right? But I
Right.
believe a lot of conversation always happens with the women's circle.
Mhm.
And then if the woman is informed, she'll inform her husband, her children, her the whole tribe, right? The whole village.
Mhm.
And then pollination in terms of pollinate, right? So that any fruit bearing or flower bearing tree, plant, etc., in order for it to bloom, it has to be pollinated. And
Mhm.
that's what pollination is doing, right? Because we understand that, being well one moment doesn't mean you're going to be well the next week or 2 weeks or a month or a year or 5 years, right? It changes, right? We're in the cycle, and there are things we're going to go through. And so we want to be there to help you move through it faster, quicker, with more ease, less trauma, like less
Mhm.
pain.
Mhm.
And so that's the why behind pollination.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the category of products. Let's talk about that and give the viewers an idea of the different products that you have. Now, I know you have hair and you have skincare products. Let's talk about any others that you have.
Yeah, so we also have our services, right? So that one of, at least with my own experience, some of the things I've experienced have been due to trauma, right? And that
Mhm.
just emotions and situations and that energy staying in my body and not being released. And I didn't even know, until you know.
Mhm.
And so we have Reiki, and that is really a service that is a Japanese modality that is all about energy. Like our body has energy centers, and at any time we can be out of balance, right? It could be my throat chakra, it can be my heart chakra, my solar plexus, right, etc., etc., my root chakra, um, third eye, etc., right? It can be any of those chakras, meridians out of balance. And so that's where dis-ease comes from, right? And sickness can manifest if your body stays out of balance too long, right?
Mhm.
And it's not addressed. And so Reiki is about rebalancing those energy centers.
Okay.
Um, and you can think of it like massage, but no one's putting hands on your body in order to realign uh,
Mhm.
those chakras.
Mhm.
So for when I say like your throat chakra may be out of balance, well, you may be able to tell because some cues would be maybe you don't speak, you haven't been speaking your truth, right? Maybe, and this is one thing I used to struggle with, and I've gotten better over the years. It's like, certain situations happen, I would have to. I felt okay. I can't say anything because if I say anything right away, it's not going to be professional speak.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Let me not say anything right now at all. But that
Mhm.
can be harmful too, because then where's that energy going? What are you doing? You're shutting down your throat chakra,
Mhm.
not because you're afraid to speak, but it's that, maybe it's not that professional speaker, speak that's going to lead to the positive change or sharing that's needed to be shared, right?
Mhm.
So you're still in your victim, not in a positive space. And so that can throw out your throat chakra, right? Because then you're
Mhm.
not speaking your piece, you're not speaking your truth.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's a service. And then I also have a customized solutions, right? So if a customer comes and says, I'm struggling with hair loss and I've tried everything in the marketplace and I see your products. I was searching and found pollination products, your strengthen and stimulate products. And do you think it will work for me? And I also saw you do customizations, or do I need a customization,
Mhm.
customized product? And then I'll talk through understanding, what's going on and try to get to understanding the root cause and take them through different, discussions and things. And then what I find, share that with them as to, okay, here's what I believe the root cause is stemming from. And because this is the root cause, or these are sometimes they may have different special allergies, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So, they may have certain nut allergies, certain this allergies and that allergy. So, okay, that may dictate needing something customized. Or sometimes
Mhm.
it's like, hey, you don't need a customized solution. You can take this product, the strengthen and stimulate oil, the strengthen and stimulate butter as is, and start with that. And then later we can, then keep checking in and see, right? Because, I
Right.
love to do customizations, but I only want to do a customization if the person actually really needs it.
Right. Correct. Yeah, because you may already have products, because you have over 20 products that you offer on
Yes,
your website. So there could be something that you already have.
absolutely.
And
And
that
then
would
plus it
help.
saves them money, right? The customization, it's an investment,
Right.
but then you get exactly something for you if that's what
Mhm.
you need.
Mhm. And your products are vegan products, all natural, no dyes, no artificial fragrances.
Yes. And there's a lot of other things I don't advertise a lot about pollination, but I try to keep it as clean as possible, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Sometimes, depending on what you're creating, you may have to use certain ingredients
Mhm.
or different alternatives. And so that, you're always, figuring out, searching, so that it can be as clean as possible. But I don't use any silicones, which you'll see
Okay.
in many hair care products,
Mhm.
even the very premium ones, silicones. We don't use any artificial fragrances. So
Mhm.
even if it's delay free fragrance. We don't use that because that's still artificial and it still can have some different impacts on your endocrine system, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and just overall. So, and then there's other ingredients that we don't use as well. You know, the phthalates, the sulfates, and then things like people don't think about it, like the ethoxylation of different chemicals in a product. Like I don't use a certain level of ethoxylation because that can lead to cancer, right? But some of those, products are in, they're just naturally in different solutions in the marketplace. And then they say, well, why is your solutions, priced differently? But they price differently because they're more premium, they're more quality.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see real results faster, and you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to have those adverse reactions, right? So you know
Right.
exactly what you're getting, and consumers, when they try pollination, like, wow, my hair is really moisturized. Wow, I started seeing fuzz. If the hair was, balding or thinning, or I
Mm-hmm.
started seeing results, quickly within days, sometimes, or if it's a pain, oh my gosh, I'm not feeling the pain, and I've only had this on for 5 minutes. Or oh my gosh, I had all these, sunburned skin and peeling and all this, yuckiness. And okay, I bought this calendula and plantain balm, and boom, I put it on, and just overnight, I wake up in the morning and my skin has changed. It looks so good. And it's like, yeah, that's pollination, right? Because you're going to see the positive workings of it right away. you
Right.
and then that's what's keeping them coming back as well.
Yeah, I know a handful of people that suffer from alopecia. Do you have any products that could help someone with that issue?
Yes, absolutely. The products that are for the thinning, the breakage, the shedding, the alopecia,
Mm-hmm.
will be our strengthen and stimulate products. So we have our strengthen and stimulate butter, the strengthen and stimulate oil, the strengthen and stimulate tonic.
Okay. Okay.
Yes,
So that's on your, so the strength and the stimulate products is good for alopecia. They can find that on the website.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Now,
Yeah.
when I was looking on there, let's talk a little bit about your top sellers and their
Ah,
healing properties. That when you go to her website, you're gonna, and that's www.pollination.com. Did I get it right? Okay, yeah,
you did.
yeah, Pollination Apothe- Ap, Ap,
Apothecary.
Apothecary.com. When you go to her website, the first thing you're going to see is some pictures of the top sellers and their healing properties. So let's talk a little bit about those two. I think it was two.
Yeah. So you see some of the original three, and the
Okay.
original three products are the strengthen and stimulate butter, right? So thinning hair, hair loss, hair growth. If you just want to, have your husband has a sparse beard and he needs to fill it in because he wants to grow this beard, or your eyebrows are sparse, so you got a little, spot, or maybe you're dyeing your hair and it's thinning your hair, but yet
Okay.
you want to continue to diet and you're getting that thinning, that balding. I have customers who use the strengthen and stimulate butter to grow it right back. Um,
Wow.
to those who have alopecia areata and tried everything at the dermatologist and other places and products, and it didn't work, but came to pollination and it worked.
Right.
And so they have long, thick, beautiful hair. And I have hypothyroidism,
Mm.
and so at times when my system gets out of balance, it's not something that's out of balance all the time, but when I see that my system is out of balance, I'll see a little thinning, and then I'll whip out that strengthen to stimulate butter. um, and so then we also have the inflamed healing balm, which is about
Mm-hmm.
pain and inflammation, right? And
Okay.
that was originally started because my father he was diabetic, and he had neuropathy in his feet and his legs,
Mm.
and also with talking with my aunt who had arthritis and possibly MS. And so, she would cramp so bad, couldn't get out of the bed in the morning. And again, this is just random conversations. I would just, check in with, my father, and would call my aunt. And then you'd be like, oh, yeah, I had a rough morning or something. And we're like, what happened? And then you hear, and then I'll think in my mind, okay, the engineer, the problem solver, he's like, okay, I'm going to create something. And then that's how that inflamed healing balm was created. And then the calendula plantain healing balm, right?
Okay.
And so
Uh-huh.
that is all about, eczema, dry skin, chapped, cracked lips and heels and cuticles, to sunburns, cooking burns, bee stings, mosquito
Mhm.
bites, random boil, pimple. That's that rescue balm. And great for diaper rashes too, or dog rashes, you name it, eczema. And so, yeah, so those were the original three that started it all.
Okay. And you just talked about diaper rash. So your products are safe for children of all ages?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. Our products are safe for children, especially the ones that are geared towards, dry skin, eczema, that type of dry scalp, hydration. Right now, if we're talking about, stimulating a growth product, then obviously I recommend Mother does a patch test, right? Because that one, it's gentle, right? I mean, it's from Earth, right? But
Right.
it's powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that one I recommend doing a patch test to make sure that that is aligned with the child, depending on what age they are, that sort of
Right.
thing. But yeah,
Also, we were talking about your services. So another service that you have is a build a product workshop. Let's talk a little bit about that.
yeah, yeah. So that one there is my thought. I always being in a community, right, and seeing, friends and girlfriends and families coming together and people come together, and how can we facilitate that? Because that's also a form of breathing life into society. And so these builder services is okay, well, how do we help that happen, right? And the consumer then learns how to do things for themselves. It's stress
Mhm.
relieving, like building a bath bomb that's catered to, stress relief, possibly, or, whatever. We can cater it to whatever the purpose is,
Mhm.
and create that. Or maybe it's a soap, or maybe it's something else, a cream or a butter, a body butter, or hand cream or something. But it's like coming together, people empowering themselves, right? Because there's certain things you can do. Um, and being fun, and in that way they're taking wellness back into their own hands.
Right, right. And we know that you're in North Carolina, but we
Yes.
were talking earlier about they can do a product, build a product workshop virtually. So if
Yes.
anybody is interested in that, you have a girls' day, you want to get together with your girlfriends or family members, or if you're a part of an organization, you want to do a sisterhood event, that would be a great event because you're being educated while you're having fun with each other, and you're getting introduced to some wonderful products. So yeah, so I just wanted to throw that
Thank
out there and encourage people because I thought that was such a good idea. My mind was just rolling with that one. I was like, okay, I know who I'm gonna tell about this.
yes.
um, so yeah, so let's talk about there's a section on your website that says trusted products by concerns area. Um, so we talked about inflammation and breakout, system balance and wellness, definition of friends. Let's talk about the importance of that site because I thought that was neat because sometimes you go on a website and it's kind of hard trying to find I have this particular need, where to go. But I thought
Yes.
that part of the website was real neat to me because I was like, okay, well, I can click on this. And I did find eczema for my daughter.
Yes.
So I did
Yes.
find that. So let's talk about the importance of that part of the website.
Yeah, so for me, it was pollination is different because we're really focusing on our solutions line up with different needs, right,
Mm-hmm.
and different challenges. And I wanted to make it easy for
Mm-hmm.
someone to quickly identify what could be great for them.
Right.
And also understanding that sometimes someone may go on a site and in their mind they're saying, hey, I'm having, or my child is having, or my husband is having, flaky, irritated scalp or dry hair.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of times that consumer may also have, or that family member may also have a touch of eczema, or, maybe it's not diagnosed with eczema, but it's, dry, patchy, irritated skin too.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other products. So then I wanted to be able to show them the many different options that they have, and then also make those connections from the scalp to the skin.
Right.
And then it's like, oh yeah, I do have a touch of eczema, or my child does, or my husband does as well. And so now you see all those relevant products,
Right.
right?
Correct.
So they're
Mm-hmm.
not just in a tunnel. So it makes it easier for them to really, get what they need.
Yeah, and they can. Then it's easy for them to drill down,
Yes,
right, and go directly. Okay, like you said, I have this need. I can drill down, and I can purchase that. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Now, where can they purchase your products? I know on your website, but are your products offered in any other locations?
Yes. So um, our hair care is offered at HSN, is offered on Amazon. Even some of our on Amazon, we also have some of our healing balms, right? The eczema and the pain balms. Um, our hair care is offered in all the Mom's Organic Markets,
Mhm.
which is in a more of organic grocer throughout the Northeast.
Okay.
And we're offered in all 22 of their stores. And then we're offered in select Wegmans, healthy grocery stores as well. We're offering in like 9 of the 106 stores they have. And then we're in the Earth Fair healthy grocery stores in North Carolina and South Carolina.
Okay.
So that's a little, overview of where we can be found in stores.
Okay. But if people want to see Carly in person, they can actually meet her at the
Yeah,
Charlotte Regional Farmers Market from 8 to 3.
yeah. Well, you know what? We used to be there for over 5 years at that time.
Okay.
But now I only pop up selectively at the
Okay.
farmers market.
At the
So this is
farmers
one of
market.
the
Okay.
shifts of how I'm shifting, how I operate within the business.
Okay.
And so yeah, so they
Okay.
have to watch our Instagram and Facebook for when we're gonna be popped up anywhere in the
Okay.
Charlotte area.
Okay, yeah. So log on to her, follow her on Instagram and Facebook, and then you can find out where she's gonna pop up, where her pop-ups at. Okay, very good. Let's see. Okay, I got that. Look, I got my cheat sheet. Oh, discuss being a certified community herbalist.
Yeah.
I read about that on your website, and I wanted the viewers to hear about that. Yeah, I thought that was important too.
Yeah, so as I embarked on starting pollination, one of the things I wanted to do was formally study herbs, right?
Mhm.
And I was one to really, I believe in, education, right? And so I wanted to go and educate myself deeply with the herbs, and so therefore I studied at the Blue Ridge School of Herbalism in Asheville, North Carolina, for 10 months,
Mhm.
and a 10-month program, so that I can become a certified community herbalist, so that I can work with the community with herbs, right? Because
Mhm.
I had the foundational training, right?
Mhm.
And then I also, and there's many different levels of herbalism training, right? So I have the foundational level, and I'm a certified to work with it in the community. And then there's levels of like a clinical herbalist, and, et cetera, et cetera. And so I am not that, but I am a certified community herbalist. And so, but for me, what I believe with herbalism, it's a lifelong study, right? And what I also realized over time, because I was going to go directly from my that program to another program, like a clinical, where I could essentially almost like write prescriptions with someone.
Okay.
And I paused on that, and I'm glad I did, because then I started to really connecting with the spiritual herbalism of it, and to
Mhm.
see what was spiritually being me naturally gravitating towards to work with,
Okay.
and developing that ability. And so now I have a different perspective on, where I want to continue to go with the herbalism, but that's always a foundation. Uh,
Mhm.
Again, because that's what I use to also help with, my own health, right? So the options, um, and managing, what side effects that I want to say yes to and ones I did not want to have any part of.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so that's a little bit about my herbalism training. And for me, it's ongoing. You're always are getting, investing more into that training, workshops, studying, studying, formal programs. But that was my formal training.
Right. And I'm just so thankful to have met you. And when you have a say a healthcare plan,
Mm,
right? You're on a job and they give you the benefits and you have this healthcare plan and you're right, Western medicine has its place, but we all know, it's a money maker. And if they can push you towards that, they can, but they do have sections in the plan where you can go and talk to someone that will that uh, practices a more holistic
mm,
approach. You know, there is very limited in the plan, but there are that you do have that option,
mm-hmm.
and I've started using that option more. And
Yeah.
it's good to know that you provide, like you said, an alternative, an option, a holistic and a natural, all natural option to people that may have different issues. And when you go to the doctor and you hear that I have this, and then you have to get on that, do your research.
Mm-hmm.
Do your research. Because I'm going to say this. Back in the day, my mom, when she was growing up, they didn't have all that we have today,
Yes.
right? So a lot of times she was telling me that when stuff happened to them, my grandmother would make something, whether it's a tea or she would make something. And that's how they were healed. You
Mm-hmm.
know, she called it being healed from the earth. And so, I think sometimes we're so programmed, to
We
go,
are. I think so. I
yeah.
think so. It's just an automatic response, but I think it's also that some generations have, with the conditioning of giving our power away,
Mm,
right? So
mm,
that we have to go to X person. Where sometimes if we start to ask ourselves some questions, we can
mm-hmm.
gain clarity. So if we do need to go to a person, we have all the information, right? Because
Yeah.
a doctor, there's certain things they need you to tell them,
Right, right.
so they have a starting point and know where to
Right,
go. So sometimes it's let's ask ourselves some under and start to understand, our role, our part, versus
right,
thinking, oh, I'm going to go to such and such and I'm going to demand that. So even when people come to me with that mindset, it's like, hey, well, let's talk about when it just start, when it just let's go and
mm,
take them through a process that helps uncover what the possible, root causes are. And
right,
then now we got something, right? And then
right.
now they have more power too, right? And now they can, make decisions. But I don't give your power to me either.
No, no,
you know,
understood. Yeah, I understood. Yeah, exactly. And but you said it. A lot of times things happen, and until you start asking those questions, we don't even stop to think. Well, when did it start? What did I eat? Was this connected to this?
yeah.
You just know something happened because I think in today's society we're just going, going, going. Especially we were shut down for two for 2 years, so now people are really revved up and ramped up, and they're just going. But when something happens, you gotta pull that brake. And like you said, let's. think about it, analyze it, and then whether you go left or right, you have the questions that you need to ask yourself and ask them. Now,
Exactly.
before we end, I want to make sure I get this conversation in.
Okay.
Let's talk about the importance of good gut health
Ah,
and the products that you have to help with that.
yes, yes. So on my eczema journey, right, I had
Mhm.
some really major skin challenges these past 3 years. And it was amazing how it coincided with me going deeper in my healing studies um, for pollination, that I also was then able to then understand that some of it was, trauma that was in my body and in my skin and in my aura that had to be released. And I believe that part of that was how it manifested physically was through skin diseases and challenges.
Mhm.
And so, that was a very interesting journey, painful journey at times.
Mhm.
But, I am on the other side now. And some of the things that I used, of course, was the calendula and plantain balm on my journey. But then I also created the Holy Grail skin therapy oil,
Mhm.
which worked wonders for my skin. And then I created other habits and practices that allowed my body to gently detox and help facilitate my healing.
Mhm.
In addition to the gut support tea,
Gut
right?
support
Because for
team.
me, my gut is, and for many others, the gut is the center. So if that's out of balance, right? Too much bacteria. Maybe you have leaky gut where there's hole in the lining,
Mhm.
right? And there is a such thing as the gut brain axis, right? So it has its own kind of nervous system, let's say, in the gut, and it's connected to the brain. And so I developed the gut support tea to help internally with the inflammation,
Mm.
with balancing that system, with healing the gut, with fighting the bacteria and et cetera, to get that all back in alignment. Because if that can be in alignment, that center, let's say that core,
Mhm.
then that can also help your whole body get back into alignment and much quicker, and that whole facilitate that healing process. In addition to, I would do Reiki on myself.
Mhm.
And I would find myself doing the Reiki with really here, the gut and the brain. And I didn't even think about what I was doing, but that again, that gut brain axis and helping to align that. So this is again where some of those other modalities come into play too, because now you can better understand, well, where am I out of alignment? And then you
Right.
can work on that. And then sometimes you may find that, certain traumas or certain situations from the past, or maybe even the near past,
Mhm.
come up. And then now oh, well, this is what I need to work on. Right.
Right.
So you can work on that depending on what it is, by yourself, with someone who's into, different holistic modalities, or a therapist, like, uh,
Mhm.
a mental therapist, you right, you now know, right? And so now you can determine what plan is going to be best for you to help facilitate that healing. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, so that's a little bit about, my skin, journey, and some of the products I created, used, and how I pulled that together. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for going into detail about that because I recently, well, I'll say first quarter of this year, hired a personal trainer.
Mm.
And she stressed about the importance of good gut health. And you just wouldn't think that if I'm not feeling well, it may be tied to that. It may be
Mhm.
tied to that. And how,
Mhm.
we think out of alignment, meaning body wise, but you can be out of alignment in your gut. You can have things going on in your gut. And your gut is I want to say, is the center.
Mhm.
And if that, like you said, if that's out of a line by you eating the wrong things or you're stressed,
Absolutely.
a variety of
Absolutely.
different things, it can cause other things. And you
Absolutely.
just do not think to tie it back to your gut health. You would never think so.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Even sometimes when it's like maybe you're swollen, you're noticing you're more swollen, you're holding on to more fluids and things. Okay. You know, let's look back at that gut too.
Yeah, yeah. So it does. It is important to be mindful
Hmm.
of what you eat,
Absolutely.
and know what works with you, with your system, and what doesn't. Just because it tastes good, it doesn't mean it's
I know, right? Yes, yes, right. Because that's for me, like one of the things I talk about within pollination is sensitive is our superpower,
I saw
right?
that.
So a lot of times in society, sensitive has a negative connotation.
Hmm.
But actually, if you really look at it, to me, it's a superpower because now your body is saying to you in many different ways, you just got to start to understand the cues
Right.
that
Hmm.
something's not right. I'm alerting you so that you have the opportunity to bring things, to get things right.
Right.
Right. And that's
Hmm.
maybe, the skin challenges, the hair loss challenges. It's like, however, our body needs to speak to us. And it amps up, right? If you're not listening
If
and
you
you're
don't
not
listen to
caught
it,
on to
yes,
the
ma'am.
cues, it
Yes,
amps
ma'am.
up. But
Hmm.
it's doing its job.
Right.
And so that, you're given the opportunity to change some things. So for me, I look at it like, hey, this is actually my superpower, versus, I feel like my body is made of steel, but it really is not. It's just
Mhm.
maybe, it, it's just taking on more. And so then about time you figure it out with some systems, now it's fatal.
Yeah.
So if we can figure it out sooner and connect in with that, superpower we have, then
Right.
you know things can be different.
Yeah, we have to start paying attention when it's a tap on the shoulder.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Instead of the
Oh
lip
yes.
on the
And I do a
leg.
better job of that now. But I wasn't one to always do that. I mean, I had to be
Yeah, me
taken
too.
down.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, I'm guilty as charged. Yeah, because I end up having the limp leg, and I'm like, and then seriously, you go to the doctor and they say, "When did it start?" And and on a scale of 1 to 10, what was it when you noticed it, and then what is it now?
Yeah. Yeah. A tap on the shoulder. Hallelujah. I'm appreciative of that now. Shoot.
Yeah, because sometimes if you wait until it's fatal, it can be when it's too late, and we don't want that.
Absolutely.
We don't want that. Well, um, what is the best? I'm gonna put your information back on the screen. What is the best way with your information? What is the best way for people to contact you?
Yeah, so they can always quickly contact via email at info@pollination.com. Also, if they're on like Instagram or Facebook, if they message through Instagram or Facebook, I'll see that. And I'm really good at messaging back. And then there's also a way to call us on the phone. Um, we have our 800 number,
Okay.
1-800 745 5439.
Okay.
And we have a local number as well, but you can find that through Google.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so you have some
Okay.
options.
You're a woman of options.
But if they have to remember one thing, info@pollination.com will get you everything you need.
Okay. Info at pollynation.com. And it's
Yes.
scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Well, before we end our interview, I hate to go because I've learned so much. And look, I'm learning from a chemical engineer. So I know. I know it's blended right. And I know you're gonna treat us right. Because you got the background. Those are the people. You have some people that get in business and they don't know the science behind it, but they know it's a good opportunity that has good profits, right?
Mm.
But I've had 2, 3, 4 conversations with you, and I really know that this is the creation of this company came from the heart, and it came out of your own journey.
Yes.
And if you don't have anybody else to amen your products, You can amen them yourself, you and your family. So is there any last minute tips or things you want to leave with the viewers before we end tonight's show?
Gosh, I've just had such a great time. Thank you
I
so
told
much,
you it was gonna be
Tina.
fun.
And I just want them to know that I'm here from them. I really want them to bloom into wellness. I care about that. Um, I really go about formulating all the products so that it's for those who have sensitive systems. It's and so therefore the whole family can benefit, right?
Right.
And yeah, so that's kind of what we're about. They see the power even when they look at the ingredient list and it's like, whoa, yeah, this is different. This is good. Okay, this is clean. But I'm always, going through that thought process of, how can I make this in the cleanest way? Um, and then that's how you see us showing up differently. And why certain ingredients are not used, not even soy. Like we don't actively put soy in our products, right? So,
Right.
um, not to say that something may not have it in there, but if I don't know if it's not listed, if there's like a compilation of something that I've bought, but I do not actively put soy into the products and different things because of how it impacts the system, right?
Right.
Um, so yeah, and I know that oftentimes those who have the sensitive systems and the skin and the scalps, um, sometimes they're at their last, threads, right, so to speak. It's like, oh, they've tried everything and it's not working. And but check us out. You'll find hope with pollination, and you know, they often also may need to see, you know, um, you know, who else have said that this works. So check our reviews. We have tons of reviews on
Yeah.
Google. We have tons of reviews on our website as well, all authentic. Um, so check those out because we really do focus on, that's why I say sensitive is our superpower.
Right. Right. And also check out the blog. Let's talk this real quick. We're going to talk about the blogs because I went through them and there's a lot of good information. So yeah,
Thank
let's
you.
let's encourage them to read the blogs too.
Great point, Tina.
Okay. All right. Well, Carli, it has been a treat. I am so happy you said yes. I've had so much fun, and you have educated me and the viewers. I want to encourage the viewers again. Check her out. Go to her website. I have ordered my products, so I lead by example on my shows. I buy people's books before I interview them, and I buy their products. I didn't get them in before I interviewed you, but I placed my order. So
You
I'm going
did.
to encourage you, encourage the viewers. They would make good Christmas gifts. You might not get them before Christmas, but they'll make good Christmas gifts. They'll make birthday gifts. They'll make just good gifts for people that you care about that have tried other things to help them with their issues. And now we're giving you another option. Try Pollination Apothecary.
Yay!
All day, Charlie. I practice all day.
You got it. You got this.
Well, once again, now you stay on, Carrie, but I'm gonna end the show. Viewers, I want to say again, thank you, thank you, thank you for such a successful year of our show. I want to wish you all a happy holidays and a happy new year. And we will see you on the second Wednesday in January. Now, in 2023, we're going to start doing bi-weekly shows instead of weekly shows. So every other week, we're going to present you a new perspective of somebody's journey. So thank you again. Enjoy your holiday. Be safe and good night.